Hey everyone, I'm Molly. I'm here with my mom,
Hi, how are you?
and this is Zentangle Project Pack number 3, part 8. So here we have my finished ensemble. I'm going to start adding some color with these General's Kimberly watercolor pencils. I got a yellow one and an orange one, and here's my paintbrush. And I have a little bit of water next to me too for when we start adding the watercolor. So I've started off with this orange pencil, and what I'm doing here is just really laying down a really heavy layer of color, or I guess it's like the pigment of the watercolor pencil, just toward the edges of this particular area. And I'm just carefully going along this border. This was the one that Rick did, I think, this beautiful paradox. And now I've loaded up my brush with some water and just gently sort of going over those bits of orange, but I'm kind of pulling it into the center. So you can see how I'm sort of really introducing, just with water, the color to kind of meet towards the center.
It's sort of how you would use a tortillon
Yeah, a
in
little
this
bit.
in this particular situation here.
So it's kind of fun because you get this beautiful variation of the color going from that dark orange towards the edges. And then as I go towards the middle, the brush really just kind of gives you this gradual faded colors.
So on this ribbon, I can see that she's adding just little bits of orange in where so it looks like a little bit of an owl-looking face looking at you. So right below the eyes and above the eyes here.
And there's really so many ways you can add color to all of these patterns. And this particular fragment here, I was like, let me try just adding a little bit of orange here and then a little bit of yellow here. So I'm going to sort of experiment with that and see what happens when I add the water to it.
So here now she's adding some yellow between the bands, those white bands. How beautiful those are. And the yellow is pretty cool. And once she adds the water, uh, uh, it's, wow, these colors are just so beautiful to use.
And you really want to make sure you don't put color down all over it, because it's those areas that are left white that really allow you to have this variation. So I'm purposely adding really heavy bits of the watercolor in areas and then not so much in other areas. Just a quick wash, and I have quite a bit of water on my brush, purposely leaving those bands white.
How pretty.
So here on this in Zeppel that I did, I'm kind of using a similar approach that I did in the beginning, but I'm leaving that outside border white to just see what happens. So again, putting down a really heavy hand of the watercolor pencil, and then leaving the center white. So that part of it's important, so you can kind of take advantage of the watercolor. So again, with the brush.
Oh, I like the white band on the edge. That looks nice.
Yeah, just exploring different options here. And, ooh, I liked this one. So this one I played a little bit differently. I had, of course, the orange and the yellow. So I played with orange on one side and yellow on the other. And then again, taking a nice clean watercolor brush.
It's sort of an ombre look.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then just sort of introducing them to each other with the watercolor brush.
Nice.
See how that really fades. It's another fragment here. Again, just playing with just putting a little bit of color down. See how it affects you can get. Just taking your time. Again, there's no wrong or right way to do this, so I'm going to add a little yellow in the center here.
Yeah, we're just giving you suggestions about what can be done.
Right?
Not the only and best way. So.
And you don't really need to fill the color in exactly, because the brush kind of does that work afterwards. Such a fun way to add color.
I love this.
And these pencils are great. They kind of just flow right on. So here's another tangle I added, jonquil. So as you can see, I obviously added some tangles that weren't in these tutorials, so I hope you guys explore with that too. But we do have all the ones in here between mine and my mom's, which will follow. You'll get to see all the ones we did. And with jonquil, I'm just adding bits of yellow right on the sort of the
Edges,
peaks.
the edges.
Yeah, and just again adding a nice wash with the watercolor.
It brings it to life, doesn't it?
Isn't that fun?
Oh, how pretty. I'll take one of those bracelets.
Yes. And you, this one over here, I tried a different approach. Thought I'd play with these circles, so just adding, again, a pretty heavy hand of the watercolor pencil around those circles.
But you left the, oh no, you didn't. Did you?
I think
guess
I
you
just
you
went right over it to see what
look
happens.
at that. That's
but
cool. Nice. Nice.
And this one I added both the colors, and again, it looks like I just kind of went right over it with the watercolor pencil. So
Ooh, I love that.
to give it a kind of different effect. This one I really loved, where I put the red, or I guess the orange, on the outsides, and then a strip of yellow in the middle, and then kind of use the watercolor pencil to introduce them to each other. That one's kind of fun.
Nice.
I loved how this weighted Hollibaugh came out. So those pigment inks are great because they don't go anywhere when you put the water over them.
You're talking about the micron pen.
Yeah. It's just a nice way to work. It's kind of fun. So I'm just kind of pulling. See how I took some of the yellow from that last one and went into some of the other spaces? Kind of fun. So at this point, I want to tell you that I waited a whole day before I added my graphite, and you may choose to do that too, or at least a couple of hours, because you don't want to be adding graphite on top of the wet
mushy paper. Take our word for it. You don't want to do that.
So make sure you wait before you add graphite. And in this case, I did wait a whole day. So I had a nice dry ensemble here to work with. And what I'm doing is just taking my regular graphite and sort of playing with the shadows of these ribbons falling over and under. And so I wanted to really sort of make that more dramatic. So I put some really heavy graphite right under these overlapping areas. And then just took my tortillon and sort of, on this one, I'm playing with the edges here. Again, leaving that little aura border alone just to see how that works. And you'll notice that I am very heavy-handed with my graphite. Doesn't mean that's the right way to do it, but that's sort of my style. And then going back with the white charcoal, which is to me this beautiful magic wand, and I'm just accentuating that sort of highlight in the center. A lot of times with my white charcoal, I almost put it down pretty hard, and then I'll go back very lightly, almost as if to blend with the pencil itself.
Wow, you're doing some really cool stuff here.
Yeah, playing around a little bit more with the details within the ribbon instead of the overall. So added some shadows within that paradox.
Wow, there's a lot of movement in there.
And then putting in some cool highlights to play with the pattern within instead of the...
Looks like twisting fronds of something
know,
or
right?
other. I was just going back, adding a little love here.
Yep, just back and forth. Again, I played with the outsides being kind of darker and the tops being sort of these highlights, but changing it up a little bit on each one. This jonquil I wanted to make kind of more dramatic, so I played with graphite on one side of those sort of peaks and valleys, and then buffing it out with the tortillon, making sure to leave some of those yellow spaces. So just gently. And then playing with the white charcoal, adding some highlights. A lot of drama here on this one. Really looks like it's folding, which is kind of fun. I had a blast shading this. It may have taken me as much time to add my shades of gray and highlights as it did to tangle the whole thing. So take your time. It's kind of
It's the frosting on the
oh,
cake.
it's so
it really
much fun.
brings it to life. And
don't rush that part of it. Yeah. It looks like this is going fast because it's all trimmed and edited, but there was a lot of care and time that went into this process. And at the end, I just went back with my pen to sort of like really tie it all together. I wanted to do some really dark edges where the ribbons seem to overlap to make that shadow really dramatic. So I didn't go with the pen everywhere. I just kind of went back and touched it up here and there to see if I could make a couple of the shadows more dramatic and sort of just add those finishing touches. For some reason, Rick wanted to put in this very dramatic edited version of my signature, which is very thoughtful of him, and I thank him for that. So you guys get to see me putting in my chop. Very lovely. And that's it. That was a wrap. So I had a blast doing this. I hope you guys had a blast, and you can see Mom putting
it was fun. It was fun
her
to watch.
finishing touches on hers too.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Project
Bye.
Pack number 3. Have
See ya.
fun.